We're back, another day, another schedule of League of Legends here in the LPL. Crowds coming in, getting themselves pumped up, some fantastic artwork. I'm not exactly sure exactly who that was supposed to depict, but they are supporting them regardless of the situation. And so you see the two teams arriving here now as well. Rogue Warrior is going to be setting themselves up versus Vici Gaming, and not looking super pumped, of course. Already knocked out of playoffs, so playing for pride and placement right now. Everyone looks so sleepy. It's like they haven't even really hit anything right now, and just Vici, of course, going to be trying to set themselves up for a second victory in the entire split. Haven't looked bad, but definitely haven't been able to clear out those wins. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the LPL. I'm HuaTian BP Malloy. I'm joined by Jimmy Preacher Fu. And our first cast.
Yeah, we haven't been on camera yet, but now we finally get to break the tradition. Yeah,
I know, right? It's the first. Like, you normally do Sundays. That's why I don't normally see you. Yeah, you and Jake are like, you know, locked together in a duo.
Well, unfortunately, you're stuck with me here today. And it's a great day for the LPL, ladies and gentlemen, because we got some great matchups.
We do. We're going to have a quick look at the standings first, though. Of course, we had matches yesterday, and we've got a look now. And we just have a quick explanation of this. Green means you're guaranteed top 4 minimum. Orange means that you're guaranteed at least playoffs, and then everything else, pretty much, you're not in playoffs.
Yeah, so the important thing that you got to keep in mind is that those orange lock-ins, they can still make their way up to the top 4. We'll talk about it a little bit later, but pretty much seeding is still very important, so all of those teams still need to pick up wins. Speaking about picking up wins, though, check your eyes onto Victus Gaming, because the former world champions are still not locked in for our playoffs.
Yeah, they're still waiting for that magic number 8, and even if they get it, their game score, their game difference means they are not locked in until their final match. Of course, let's have a look at today's schedule, because you mentioned IG, they are playing later on today versus LGD. But first up, we have got Rogue Warriors versus Vici. So overall, Invictus looking to kind of push themselves forward.
That's it, and we can say a little bit that IG have a good schedule ahead of them, but they've got some change-ups and they still need to make the run. So 2 more matches left. Let's see if they can pull up the score.
Yeah, we'll talk about that later on in the day, but of course we got to talk about the playoffs in general. And we talk about, you know, the whole setup as such. It's a 2-sided gauntlet because we have so many damn teams coming into this. It's going to be 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th playing in the first round, and then you got to make it all the way to the end.
And that's exactly why we highlighted the 3 teams at the top with green, because they have made their way to the top 4 guaranteed, and that is very important. Seeding means everything. It means that you don't have to play as many matches. You're pretty much already into the final little stretch, and every other team has to decide the meta for you.
Yeah, so still a lot to play for, of course. Lots of teams figuring it out. And of course, the big thing that you got to talk about when you talk about playoffs is not just this summer split. It's also beyond the postseason, which of course is Worlds and the championship points that come into play.
This is very, very important. I need to keep my eyes on TOP, but that's for a later discussion. The whole point is that they already picked up some points from spring, and now they need to accumulate some more over summer in order to qualify.
And for everyone at home, just so you are aware, the first seed from China will be the summer playoff champions. So if you come out after the side of the gauntlet as number 1, you are the first seed from China. The second seed is determined by who has the most championship points accumulated between spring and summer. They go through as the second seed. And then the third seed will be decided through a regional gauntlet qualifier. Only 3 teams get into that. It's all happening so fast. We're very quickly getting towards postseason.
And this is going to be very close, BP, because if you take a look, JD Gaming came second in spring. It looks like they're not going to get very highly right now, which means that everybody else needs to fight their way up in order to get the points accumulated for them for summer.
Yeah, and of course, you know, naturally as you come into this, you know, it is going to be a lot of, you know, kind of pressure on teams. A lot of teams like Royal Never Give Up, Dominus, they're on very, very low points. Like I said, TOP also looking like they're not exactly high up in the standings with all the different teams that have popped into each other. But we'll come to that when it becomes relevant off in the distant future as such. We got to see how they all deal into playoffs. But of course, we got our match of the week this week. It is going to be a battle for first as Fun Plus Phoenix versus Top Esports.
This is what you got to keep your eyes on, ladies and gentlemen, and the matchup on your screens as well. Do&B and Knight, arguably 2 of the greatest mid laners in our league so far, and they have very similar playstyles as well. Usually stacking their own lane to make sure the rest of map gets ahead. It's going to be really, really fun. And you combine that with the fact that they're also mechanically gifted as well. It is one to definitely keep your eyes on.
Yeah, and as well as that, you know, with the Pantheon rework, the Mantheon rework, as everyone likes to call it now.
Put him on it.
I just want to see one last hurrah. You know, we saw it last week. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I was gonna say we saw it last week. Do we get another one? That's what I want to know.
It is
like,
a DWuJi special, and he definitely knows how to use it. Take a look at his ultimate. It is definitely in his wheelhouse. I would love to see it, especially before the rework, but I would even love to see the rework more.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we might see that during Worlds if FPX do end up getting there. Still a lot to talk about. We'll get to that later on. But of course, we've got our first game of the day, which is Rogue Warriors versus Vici. And sadly for these two teams, playoffs is unattainable. They are very much done with their season now after these next few games. And what do you want to see from either of these sides now coming into kind of their last few regular season?
Growth. That is it. So right now they are playing for pride, but I would like to see them actually play for deciding their play style and actually getting more strategies under their belt. When I take a look at both of these two teams, especially when I turn my gaze towards Rogue Warriors, I say your draft looks a little bit shoddy. You got to say straight from the start. You don't really... Oh, we actually get a little bit of an intro right now, but the whole point about RW is the fact that they don't actually have that great of a bridge tool to get into the late game. Checking out their roster right now, we have Holder in the top lane, WeiYan in jungle, HuaTian in mid lane, and the bot lane of ZWuJi and Huanggai.
And like you said, like a lot of, you know, kind of like positives coming from this side, but like, you know, the growth to be able to kind of transition into those stages in the game has kind of been their biggest crux as such, is that they just haven't been able to kind of get those crucial, like, you know, movements from a good early game to a solid mid game to a closing out of a late game. So I want to, like you, I want to see some growth, and I want to see what they're able to do. But what do you want to see from Vici?
See, it's the exact opposite. I say the laning phase is quite fine, and to check out the laners, of course, it's going to be Chelizi in the top lane coming in from Cube, Ike's in the jungle, you've got Jay in the mid lane, Puff and Southwind in bottom lane as well. I'd say that their laning phase is actually really good, and I would like to turn my head towards the bottom lane of this team, because for the longest time, even in the LDL, they played mainly through their bottom lane. It's just after you get out of laning phase, they kind of look like they lack direction. Choose any sort of direction you want at all, and if it works, you can build off of it. This is really the time to try now that the playoffs is not quite in your mind.
And the thing is with Vici, the kind of the unfortunate thing, if you like, is that no one sees them as a bad team. They've taken games off of people in this, you know, in the upper echelons of the playoff bracket. They just can't really, like, I think it was last week they played against LNG, and they should have won it 2-0. They just overforced one little move in game one and ended up losing it to LNG. And again, like growth, but it's got to be a very frustrating season for them overall.
And that is it, right? I think that was a step in the right direction, even though, unfortunately, they couldn't really close out the series. It's just picking exactly what strategy that you want to stick with later on, because you've got a solid laning phase. I can't guarantee that these guys are going to come out of laning phase against some of the greatest inside our league, but the whole point is that after 15 minutes, there's still a game going on. They're at turret to be played. They don't really play towards the side lanes, so they draft for it. There's a Baron to be played around as well. This team definitely needs to turn their head towards that and just make some strategies, build on what they can get.
And of course, you know, a lot of people would claim that they do not play like a last place team. Unfortunately, they are last place, but for Rogue Warriors, it's all about, like you said, development. It's all about kind of them kind of pushing forward, and placement as well, because, you know, you want to be able to come into the 2020 season knowing that you kind of said, look, you know, we were only 1 or 2 games away from playoffs rather than we were 3 or 4 games.
So, yeah, looking at Rogue Warriors, they definitely need to tighten that up. Going back to the original point, they've got some great avenues to do so. Their execution is good, their direction is good inside of the game. If they can make sure that they actually have a way to bridge their way out of the laning phase, especially into Vici gaming, that should be their way to success. I mean, my eyes have to turn towards WeiYan right now. There are so many junglers in the early game that can heavily impact his team, be it an Olaf to just disrupt the enemy jungler, or even a ZWuJi. I mean, one of the strongest junglers right now. So if he can get his hands on that and make an impact in the game, that should be where their success can be found.
And of course, you know, with this series not meaning a huge amount in terms of standings or anything like that, of course, it's just pride realistically coming out for either of these sides. Do you expect to see anything crazy? Any cheese coming out onto this one? Anyone who's just going to say, you know what, I've always wanted to play this? Because we've seen G2 take out Soraka Smite top lane.
Look, if we're going to be talking about cheese, I'm not going to be talking about the picks, but maybe the ones that are let through the ban phase as well. Karma has been a very high priority, but I'd absolutely love to see these teams leave it open to see what they can do with it. So maybe keep your eyes on that, you know, not actually taking off the extremely strong champions and allowing them to have a bit of game time is what I'm looking forward to.
Yeah, get a little bit more stage time, like you say, a bit of game time there for either of these teams. And of course, if you are wondering why I'm saying Soraka tops with Smite, just check out G2's recent game, and you'll understand what I mean. And the Fnatic showing us how to play Garen.
Yep. Yeah, Garen ADC, right?
It was Garen bot lane with Yuumi.
Yeah, put it in the bottom lane, not in the top lane. Who would have knew that that was the formula to success?
It was actually just such a ruse because everyone was like, oh, the Yuumi enables the Garen. It was the complete opposite. It was the Garen enabled the Yuumi. The Yuumi built like a Luden's Echo, a Medjai's Soul Stealer. Like it was full like attacks, like a kind of like constant machine gun, you know, Yuumi coming out on a drive-by Garen.
Usually it's like a poke Yuumi who primarily does a heal with a W as well, but instead just, man, two-shot them with your Q.
It was, and then catching them, like forcing constant flashes from the side of Vitality as well. But again, watch LEC. They're going a bit crazy right now.
I mean, we're going crazy just thinking about the meta. I don't think it's going to go that crazy within this game, but still, Rogue Warriors.
Never know.
I know, especially in, like, if we're going to be talking about Rogue Warriors patching up their early game as well, they could realistically go for something that they are more comfortable on. Obviously, it's a team that has more bent towards the meta. We haven't seen them stray too far away, but hey, if playoffs are not on the line and if pride and also learning is, then they could definitely go for safe picks.
And for Vici, like I said earlier, I just want to see them calm down. It's like, you know, you're getting the advantages and then they're just pushing a little bit too far. And I want to see them kind of just go, okay, cool, we're fine. Let's take the, you know, 99% chance of winning rather than the 40% chance of winning.
Well, I'm actually going to turn in the opposite direction. I'm going to completely disagree with that because that's what they've been looking for every single time, BP, and that's actually their downfall. The fact that very rarely do teams actually give them a 99% chance, which is why they're not pulling the trigger. Go for the 50-50s. Go for the sub 50% plays because if you don't, you're slowly bleeding out waiting for the other teams to eventually overtake you. I mean, they've been very poor when it comes to Baron contests. They've been very poor when it comes to grouping up as a 5-man unit. Both of those two things can be worked upon inside of this series.
Well, the crunch has been sounded, and you know what that means. It means we are going into picks and bans for our first game of the day between Rogue Warriors and Vici Gaming. Smiles on both the coaches as they start to set up their drafts. Straight away, we see the Zoe, the Yuumi ban, the Corki ban. So already a lot of poke options taken off the board by both sides. All poke options taken off the board.
Already off. Corki's off. I like to see that. Questions are is Azir going to be picked up? Will he be high priority? This actually opens up some windows for the Akali to be picked up in the mid lane as well. I quite like that. Usually has a terrible time into range. And another curious thing that I want to keep my eyes on is the Kog'Maw, of course, because that has been very high priority. A little bit of a nerf on 9-15, but still a very good champion. Yeah,
can flex into multiple of roles as well. We have seen it in top, in bot, in both roles. Let's get 4 roles swappers, so it's yet to see it in jungle, but I don't think anyone's going to be picking that one up anytime soon. Jade's going to be knocked out again, and a lot of these sieging kind of easy turret plating setup champions taken away, while the Olaf as well, pretty standard for every single team to take that one.
Make sure that WeiYan can't actually disrupt your jungle. Now, I like what's open right now, because Rumble got a buff on this patch. His shield is now much stronger than before, which means his laning phase is going to be more secure, and Chelizi is a seasoned Rumble player. Played it a couple of times in the LPL already. It's definitely in his wheelhouse.
And to see Sylas, Tahm, Kench, Karma, Rumble, a lot of things to be left open here. Always like seeing the Sylas can be flexed between anywhere on the top side. Top, jungle, mid, pretty much go in any 3 of them without any real problems, but we might see the Gragas coming out for Vici, and I've always liked the Gragas. It means you get some nice early priority, you can get some early kills if you do path it correctly.
And also if you can get the kills in yourself. We've seen him act as a pseudo-assassin in his own right, but turning back towards the Sylas, it's a great denial away because it's a catch-all. Obviously you can flex it in top and also in mid lane, and more to the point, it means that your opponents have to be very careful. It already disables a whole lot of control mages in the mid lane, and that could be a way that they can path against Vici to make sure they can't even get ahead early on, but instead Vici, they go head first into it.
We have seen Jay on this Qiyana before, literally last week against LNG, and he is proficient to say the least. He has got a fantastic grip on that champion, so that's going to be going into the mid lane almost certainly, as we have Chelizi, into that top side. We'll not be seeing Cube, and Rogue Warriors, what do they want to respond with? Because it's very rare that we do see the mid lane picked up so early, but when you're as confident as Vici, you got to go for it.
Yeah, ADC is still on the table right now, and honestly, Kaiser is a very good option now that the Ezreal has been taken off. The ADCs inside the LPL have definitely looked towards the later scaling, so it could be one of the directions, but instead, they want something that can counter a Kaiser, and I quite like what Rogue Warriors is doing with the composition, because they got the Sylas, which disables either top or mid lane, and they got the Varus as well, along with the TK, one of the safest lanes inside of the game.
Varus, TK, a lot of long distance, poke available to you there. You can go multiple different ways as well. So we might see the Braum picked up as a response. No real supports banned away apart from the Yuumi. So Vici going to lock that one in nice and early, make sure they don't get any more banned away from them, but you could imagine that Rogue Warriors are going to focus either top or ADC with these bans in the second phase.
Yeah, Aatrox is still up, so if Rogue Warriors doesn't take that away from Vici Gaming, then that could definitely bite them in the rear. Another good thing is that Rogue Warriors could always pick that up for themselves. I mean, it suits their composition very well because they need some medium range engage.
Yeah, it is banned away, actually
course.
by Vici.
You would expect
as you anticipated, you didn't really expect that one to be getting its way through. Aurelia still available as well. A lot of different potential power picks to come out of this. And we'll have to see what Rogue Warriors want to go with.
Well, I actually quite like the Renekton in this situation. You need a frontline tank, and Rogue Warriors, they are a team that definitely need to play more towards their laning phase, so if they can get the early game bridge tool for themselves, that could definitely go that way. Renekton is definitely front on my mind on this. It's interesting that the Lucian gets banned away. Of course, his ultimate now has a little bit more damage, very good in the 2v2 bottom lane, so taking that away pretty much indicates that if Kaiser is not banned, it should be the first pick for Vici.
And they're actually going to ban the Renekton as well, so you can see the focus from the side of Vici is going to be 100% towards that top side. They could pick up the Karma now as well if they really wanted to. They're not really a Karma team, if I'm being totally honest, so you imagine the first pick here will be towards that top side, or I should say AD carry, depending on which one they want to go for.
Yeah, and also just taking a look at where the game stands right now, Gangplank is available. And in all honesty, if you want to pick it, there are very few counters to it. Of course, Lucian is one of the strongest. We saw the Shy run away with that game. So obviously off the board, GP is a big priority. And I like this hover. We haven't seen it for a while, BP, but this could definitely be very interesting if they lock it in. It's a hyperscaler. There's a lot of defense.
There is,
what are you thinking?
Wow!
Dang,
okay!
they did it.
I'm actually very surprised. So here's why my surprise comes in. When you get a Kog'Maw, he needs a lot of time and a lot of money. And generally speaking, when you have a Braum and that's about it, you don't really have a lot of protection for that Kog'Maw. So I am very, very surprised for the side of Vici and Puff in particular going with that Kog'Maw. Now, it can be flexed into multiple different ways. We could see the AP Kog'Maw mid with the Qiyana going topside as well, potentially. But I am assuming it is going to be Puff in that bot side as the Gangplank, like you mentioned, locked in. It looks like Aurelia potentially going to be locked in as well, which means we would see a Sylas jungle. It's a lot of divers, and even the Akali's even worse. This Kog'Maw's not going to have a fun time if he's not able to escape.
Yeah, this looks quite dangerous to the Kog right now. I mean, I like it for the late game security, but realistically, only the Braum to help. There are two very heavy divers right now. If the Sylas and the Akali can get onto him, there's not a lot that he can actually do. And if that Qiyana is going into the top side, of course there is a chance for a counter in the mid lane, but still, 2 out of 3 winning lanes with one being so volatile and a heavy focus, you would naturally have to expect that Rogue Warriors know where the target is.
I was just about to say, I think Vici just tried to play 5D chess right there.
Yeah.
You pick a Tristana who is able to kind of go into any of these matchups into the solo lanes to be able to deal with the Gangplank and the Akali because she's got so much burst damage, and you just kind of give up the bot lane. You just kind of say, you know what, if you survive, if you survive, you're doing great. And you know what, we're happy with you not doing anything until 30 minutes, and you be our late game insurance puppy. But a Tristana locked in to deal with the Gangplank or the Akali can be swapped between the two. I am just so excited to see how this Vici comp works out.
I like it. I like it. Double AD composition from Vici Gaming as well means that they're going to have a lot of turret taking potential. This opens up the avenue for some sieges in the mid to late game. We were looking at them and saying that's the point that they need to focus on, so they've definitely shorted up inside of their pick and ban phase. And conversely, on the other side, Rogue Warriors, I mean, even though there are some very late scalers, Akali and Gangplank don't usually come online, as soon as the Varus gets to level 6, enables the Sylas to enter his lane perfectly.
And there is a lot of pressure on Southwind to keep all these very, very squishy AD carries and assassins alive within these fights. So much dive potential from Rogue Warriors that if I ever see Vici Gaming grouping up, I'm instantly nervous.
Yep, you got a knot in your stomach, and so do they, because of course it's going to be very difficult to protect your backline, but realistically, what backline is there when a Qiyana and even a Tristana can be rushing forward inside of that team composition? Once again, execution for both of these two teams is going to be important. Draft is very nice, but they've done the do-si-do. They've traded the early game for late game, what we usually know, and they're just testing the waters to see if they can execute on a different type of playstyle.
Yeah, early game have got options to go on the side of Vici. Of course, Rogue Warriors definitely would regard a safer early game from the champions they have picked. Very hard to land any kind of meaningful CC onto these champions, but ladies and gentlemen, the rosters are locked, and we are going into game 1 for Rogue Warriors versus Vici Gaming. Oh, I'm going to have to cut off the chance a little bit as Southwind gets caught out. There's the Guardian popped as well, but they've got a little bit of a loop coming in there with Jay and Chelizi. Kog'Maw very much just sitting back going, I am not part of this.
It's a Kog'Maw. He's never being involved in a level 1.
Yeah.
Taking a look at the matchup, though, obviously we need to keep our eyes on it, but it's mostly to make sure that Puff can just stay alive, because that is his goal pre-6, especially into a hard poker like Varus. He's going to have so much of a tough time.
Obviously, very easy for us to focus onto the side of Vici. We talked at length for their composition and what we expect it to be able to do and where it kind of falls and pros and cons. Where does Rogue Warriors really shine? Where do they look to kind of find the advantages for their particular, kind of setup?
Great question. And when we took a look at the bottom side, we said, yeah, that's going to be an interesting thing. But we actually also want to keep an eye on the mid lane because it's assassin versus assassin. And especially in the early game, Akali has a little bit more poke into the Qiyana. Obviously, Qiyana needs her first item, AD power spike, in order to really start trading and 100-0ing. So that could be another point of contest for Rogue Warriors to keep their eyes on.
Level 1 belongs to Holder as he has got Grasp of the Undying. And that parlay as well, so he's able to just kind of constantly keep Chelizi at this arm's length as such, and this Tristana just not going to have a good time.
Yeah, we actually thought that Tristana was going to be quite fine. One of the best ways to play into Gangplank is to pick a ranged champion who can detonate his barrels before he does, so it's one of the hardest ways to tilt Gangplank players, just a heads up. However, Holder at level 1. Surprisingly strong into this Tristana. Obviously, there's an E available, but she needs to trade order for order, and into a Grasp of the Undying, especially in the early game, Gangplank's going to win out.
It's, well, the big thing, people talk about like Tristana's early game and the burst she has. The big key thing that people need to remember, it is level 2 that she's able to get. At level 1, still lacking in that burst potential and forced to use the teleport very, very early into this lane. We'll see if it actually means anything in the long run. Is Vici going to have, like you said, losing lanes pretty much across the board?
Yeah, it's also going to be hard for the Tristana because she just burned the TP. She doesn't have any sustain inside of her kit. Usually, if you want to go toe-to-toe with somebody who has Grasp of the Undying, you go for fleet footwork. But now with the PTA, of course, a little bit more damage if you can get the trades down before the trades.
Here we go, jump in, the Ignite goes down, Jay flashes back over with no Shroud available. Great little move there to get level 4, and they trade back the Ignites, but it's not going to matter. There's the flashes burned in the top side, and Vici Gaming explode onto the scene with 2 quick kills.
2 for 2. In the mid lane, it was a solo kill as well. Jay outplayed that, and you would have to imagine that early game for RW was completely shut down onto the top side. Only one place to look left, but WeiYan actually wants to make it 2.
Oh, they want to go for a little bit of a turnaround here. They have no flashes available there for the Gragas, but he does have his body slam pretty damn soon. He's just going to try and use it to keep himself away. Does not dodge out from the Upstun and Abduct. And the jump away there from Chelizi means that he's going to be forced back out of lane. Just overextending a little bit there from the side of Vici. Good punish from Rogue.
Yeah, Rogue Warriors just punishing the fact that Vici Gaming stayed for way too long. Of course, the Gragas got the kill, but he wanted to shove out as well. Wasn't anticipating that Holder would teleport back with WeiYan there so early. And another thing to note is that WeiYan really wants to put in some effort. Checking out this replay first, though, it is going to be the HuaTian versus J1. And HuaTian actually stays alive for a very long time. Just natural trading amongst themselves, but it's the final minion that dies. We actually went way back VP, but this is really the point. He gets to level 3, and you actually think that he's going to live because the minion dematerialized at level 4, but Ignite for Ignite just not enough.
And I love the idea there from HuaTian as we see another replay of this one. This was just Holder just jumping in too far forward, and this is the power you have with that rocket jump. And flash for flash, they just try and chase him out. And very well done there by Vici to get 2 quick kills. But, HuaTian, just knowing that he just needed 1 minion, uses the minion to materialize to get that 1 minion, almost keeps himself alive. And those little, small inches could be the difference in these lanes. Unfortunately for him, he does end up falling down and equaling up that deficit that advantage he gained for himself.
Yeah, it's a little bit unfortunate, and it's very much so for the matchup in particular, because assassin versus assassin, whoever gets the early lead is naturally going to be the one who's going to snowball further. Expect a lot of help from the jungler for Rogue Warriors to be focusing on the mid lane. WeiYan, though, I was about to say that he's actually opted for much more late game Sylas because of his rune options, went for the Conqueror, so naturally takes a lot of time to stack up, and is more of a battler and a healer with that rune choice as well. But in the early game, we've seen that he could definitely gank, especially on the top side.
I was sad seeing a Tristana trying to CS under turret. It's very difficult with the passive that she has, as we see Gragas just trying to sneak himself around. Has actually found himself past that scuttle vision. Holder does not know exactly where he is. Now he does, as he's been spotted out there by the Scryer's Bloom. Nicely played there from the Akali in mid lane to keep Holder safe. And we've seen Holder do very, very well in these early games and kind of like be the shining light, the silver lining, if you will, for the side of Rogue Warriors. He just needs his team to kind of follow him up on that and just say, hey, I'm the carry, you know?
Grass of the Undying as well. Very good for that laning phase, apparently. But yeah, Holder's getting a very good advantage for himself. He's already got that level 6 under his belt. So because there was a scrying orb to the Scryer's Bloom, to the top side from HuaTian, it means that Rogue Warriors can naturally play to the bottom side very safely with that Gangplank ultimate as well. Holder can actually contribute quite a bit for his team.
And that's the kind of the pseudo-global you have with Holder. He doesn't need to be in the fight himself. He can just drop down the cannon barrage.
He doesn't want to be, just the ulti.
Yeah, he just wants to have the ulti just to kind of chuck him out. Barrels can be pretty damn impactful later on in the game, but
later on.
Yeah, not so much this early on, but have kind of completely forgotten about this bot lane for a while. It's just been kind of a slow CS lead being built up here by the Rogue Warriors team, to be expected, as we did say in the early game. Kog'Maw not exactly looking like the strongest pick into this particular one, but not doing badly.
Yeah, and look, it's not a flashy matchup. We're just going to say it right now. Of course, Southwind's one duty is to put up his shield whenever there's a Q channel from ZWuJi, but he's doing his job, and he's doing it quite fine. The CS differential is quite minimal, in all honesty, for an ADC Kog'Maw. And when you take a look at the fact that he's got a Vampiric Scepter as well, he can go toe-to-toe inside of this lane. So Puff actually on a pretty good way to scale it.
Still a long way on that road.
Obviously.
He started off well, but it is a very far off dream for the side of Vici before the puppy becomes very relevant. But early turret pressure, as I say that though, we're going to see a chain of corruption straight away, and this is the problem that we were talking about. When you pick the Kog'Maw with no real escape, he's just going to get locked down and deleted.
And the unfortunate thing about that as well is that Southwind used his heal after the Kog'Maw died just to save his own life. This is really unlucky, but here's a TP back. Very brave.
TP back from Puff. They have got vision though of the Akali, who was roaming down. It's 4-man hovering on this bot side. However, the side of Rogue Warriors realize they need to be careful, as they do not know where the Gragas is as of this moment. They will now see him. Yeah,
it was all torn down because WeiYan decided to visit down to the bottom side. We were talking about the fact that as soon as Varus hits level 6, very good opening for his jungler to come down, and now it's a very volatile point for Vici's bottom lane because that Kog'Maw is nowhere near ready to fight, and Sylas right now pretty happy with his current situation ganking that bottom lane.
Yeah, we are seeing the focus very much being put onto that bot side by the side of Rogue Warriors. Now HuaTian going to have to try and defend in this mid lane. Jay knows that he's able to jump in straight away. Does not land the CC perfectly though, and the perfect execution comes out. Explosive cast a little late, just in case, but they do get themselves another kill in this mid lane. Good moves here from Vici.
Better late than never, and because they've got so enabled in the two solo lanes, they naturally want to rotate their jungler towards it. It's working out quite fine for each game, but oh boy.
Ooh, flash for flash, almost immediately from both sides. Good reactions there from Chelizi, but he is not having a fun time. 20 CS down and a kill in favor of Holder as he just pushes in this wave. TP is going to be used to come back into lane. We'll only lose 1 minion, but overall this Tristana, when she's given time on the towers, it's great. But unfortunately, it's just not a fun time when Gangplank's there.
No, unfortunately not. But we're actually going to check out how the mid lane went down. It was a flash in with the ulti. Didn't get the wall, but honestly, didn't really need to because HuaTian just goes invisible. It's better late than never, but still, at the end of the day, there's a Gragas there. He's camping your shadows. You can't get out of that.
It looked like it was buffered almost, though, because he does have a stun as soon as he comes out of that, perfect execution.
Did take a while.
And it just seemed like a bit of a strange situation. I would love to know the full interaction of that, as we see now Holder getting jumped on straight away. They're going to put down a lot of damage. I like this move here from Chelizi. They have got the Gragas and the Qiyana roaming up as well. Holder in a little bit of trouble. He's going to need a little bit of luck, and unfortunately they land everything. Clean dive here from Vici as they know that everyone was on the bot side taking Dragon.
And that's usually the way that you want to execute the Tristana from level 2, but he didn't get the level 2 because he was pushed out level 1. Although, with 2 other people on his team helping him, he still manages to get that kill onto the top side. Now this Tristana is going to be opened up a little bit for the team. Still a little bit of a worry just because of the lead that Gangplank has built for himself, but another good place that Ike's can focus. It's all away from Puff, make sure the 2 solo laners can get their advantages.
Wow, we talked about how quick this Tristana can take these turret plates, despite the poor matchup and Holder realistically putting him down so much. This is what we say when we say to someone, lose gracefully. The fact that he hasn't been dying playing. He hasn't been, you know, giving up those gold or anything like that. So we see the Rift Heralds.
Oh,
gonna
nice.
be taken. Nice loose of the explosive cast, and looks like they're just going to try and use this to get him out. Should be no problem whatsoever there. Nicely done there by the side of Vici, but losing gracefully could literally be the difference between 600, 800 gold going over to your lane opponent, and you just gaining a load of turret plates because you haven't died.
Look, in all honesty, Chelizi doesn't look that bad in this matchup, but WeiYan's going to prove me wrong.
Well, we have got two junglers up on the top side. They haven't seen each other just yet. Does not land the Scun and Abduct. They will be able to use the stolen explosive cast. Not quite yet, though, as they want to make sure that they have got the wave pushed in completely, and there's going to be a free turret plate or two going over to the side of Rogue Warriors.
They want to bust people away because they don't want to fight under the turret.
They use it just to try and get Chelizi chunked out. Will be effective in that regard. But they're not leaving just yet. However, now they have Southwind here, and Southwind may not be able to defend this. They need to go over and help his Gragas, but Kog'Maw doesn't really know where to go either. I think they're just looking to try and get a little bit of a swap here going for the side of Vici.
Yeah, this is very dangerous because they're going to be losing some plates as well. But better late than never. They want to make sure that they can get the bottom lane to the top side so they can defend this. And Southwind just wants to fight.
Oh, nicely done there. No flash on Holder means that he is going to go down. It's actually Southwind that gets that kill. Probably would have preferred it to go on the Gragas, but they will make sure you get it 100%. And that was just a bit of an unfortunate overstay from Holder.
A kill's a kill, and the most important thing is that Vici Gaming knew there was a teleport before from Holder, so he can't defend this turret. With that Rift Herald as well, is going to be more or less a free first turret.
And I love the rotation coming in from Vici. They immediately realize that, look, okay, this Sylas is just going to camp up this top side. They gift over first turret and a load of gold over to the Kog'Maw, like you said, trying to get him going. He now has his Blade of the Ruined King. They also don't have the teleport on Holder, so he's not able to catch his wave in this bot side in time, so he's going to lose a lot of CS. Overall, fantastic little moves here from Vici.
Yeah, and because of their superior range, because they can always poke down and chip down in this early game, they have complete priorities over the objectives. Naturally, you saw that it just went over the Rift Herald, of course, to Vici, but bottom lane.
Yeah, we're going to see no real engage coming in there as the ultimate was stolen, but overall that's a disengage tool from the Tristana rather than an engaged one, so no real potential there. As they're going to go for an immediate swap again. You can see it straight away. The Kog'Maw and the Braum going towards this bot side. I really like this tempo that we're seeing from the side of Vici.
Yeah, they're definitely shaking things up, making sure that they can get that early game priority. I was talking about how Vici Gaming, at the current moment, have complete dominance over the objectives. The Rift Herald went over to them, 1 minute 30 to next break. Should go over to Vici as well. They have the priority. All they need to do is drop some vision, and that should be where they're going to fight next.
Turret plates will drop very, very soon. They have got the Tristana collecting that wave up top side as well. As we see now, the side of Rogue Warriors have decided that it's going to be the bot laners to deal with this Qiyana. Now they're looking for that dragon, but they're going to get jumped on straight away, and there's just nowhere for the Akali to go. They drop the cannon barrage, but the Kog'Maw Puff is just zoning out everybody on this box side. He flashes in, flashes back, and they're going to be able to get him straight away. A bit of an overestimation of where he needed to be, but it doesn't matter because Gragas is just so damn big. Good move in here from the side of Vici. They haven't even called in Chelizi. That was a 4v5, and they come out on top with 2 kills.
Still looking so dominant. There are two ways to play a Kog'Maw composition. Either you fully protect him with all of your members, or you leave him to the wolves and say, wow, you were focusing that champion? We didn't really care about him at all. And in that second instance, it looks like Vici Gaming played it so well. Focusing around Jay for the primary damage source, as well as Ikes for the CC, they won that fight.
Oh, TP is coming in, though, and that's going to be Puffed rejoining the fight. They haven't quite got the position, though, onto ZWuJi or the Tahm Kench, so they're just going to back away. Very hard to lock down those two champions, even without their flashes, which they have. And the thing with Vici right now, they just want to kind of extend this laning phase because they just, the longer they can make the side of Rogue Warriors just kind of run around the map with no real response, the better it is for them.
It's working out, and especially because they're still getting resources on Puff all the time. That's the important thing. Puff and Chelizi are both getting CS, are both getting experience, and that's what a Kog'Maw and a Tristana want to do. So realistically, if Rogue Warriors play into that trap, allow it to be slow, allow Vici to dictate the pace of the game, then it's always going to be a Vici victory just because of the scaling.
Scaling not bad on the side of Rogue Warriors, but I do agree with you. It's going to be a mechanics fight, as we see. This was just HuaTian getting caught.
Yeah, and this is Ikes going in. Bop, no counterplay available because he CC'd the entire duration. And even off on the backside, while Puff does get taken down by this duo, it was a flash required as well, and that left WeiYan way too open for a counter flash. Pop.
I like the idea. It was like almost like a Lee Sin kick-esque move there with the the stolen Tristana ultimate, but you can see Vici, they get the 2 kills off the back of it. And if they can keep getting those picks, those small little advantages, you can see that they have got a pretty damn scary team fight. But I still look at this team and I think, you know, with the Sylas, with the Akali, with the pure like team fight, like, you know, ultimates you have on the side of Rogue Warriors, you just don't want to group up if you're on the side of Vici.
Yeah, it does look difficult, but if you don't group up, then it's even better for Vici, because like I was talking about before, that is the MO. The later they go, the less fighting that they have, in all honesty, in order to get there, then the better their team's going to be. So naturally, the only person who's going to be a check on that is going to be Holder, because Gangplank on full items is a menace to deal with as well, especially split pushing with that ultimate and also a TP. So while Vici Gaming do need to be cognizant of that, they are sitting in a very good position to be playing towards the late game.
Oh, here we go. They're going to be Assassin v Assassin. I think it's HuaTian who gets taken out on this particular one. Jay establishing another solo kill over the Rogue Warriors mid laner.
That's what we were very afraid of, VP, because Jay got the initial solo kill onto his lane opponent, and now he's just running away with the game. I mean, this is another avenue open for Vici Gaming in order to play around, and by the time the Qiyana falls off, but in the bottom lane.
Yeah, we're going to see Southwind go golden. They did still use the stolen Glacial Fissure and, of course, the Chain of Corruptions as well to get his flash out of him and his stopwatch. So not the worst of payments out for the side of Rogue Warriors, as now they look to push down this bot lane turret. Should be able to pick it up with no real defense. As I say that, though, Southwind. Yeah. Going to drop down the ultimate because they have the Gragas coming in on the flank as well as the TP as well. They're going to try and just jump in straight away. Chelizi very nicely done, just jumps away straight away. They zone everybody out. Rogue Warriors are being taken apart, dismantled, destroyed, and they are taking all the kills for Vici. Holder TP'd on the back side of that. I don't know if that's where you want to be, my friend. I don't think he can defend this.
Yeah, his GPS is lost. He has no idea where he is, and Vici Gaming is just going to be taking everything from his team. That was so well played. Even Ike's ultimate that missed was so perfectly placed to make sure that ZWuJi would be back towards his team regardless, and Vici Gaming just pull away with that fight.
And Rogue Warriors, like, they had the laning phases, they had all the advantages, but it's just Vici in this early game. We talked about how they are a good early game team. It's just them kind of constantly making the rotations, constantly pulling the strings, and Puff now has 3 kills. Gragas has 5 kills.
That's ridiculous.
You talked about that in the pregame. This Gragas with kills can do damage.
He's actually a pseudo-assassin, and combine him with Jay's burst as well, whoever's in the sights is more or less going to be killed, and anybody else left straggling is going to be dealt with by Puff and Chelizi. This is a very hard team composition to play against when ahead, but this is really what started it all. Of course, very good stopwatch to dodge out 2 key ultimates, but still, Vici Gaming do get sandwiched inside of this, and you have to watch for the rest of his team joining to really come ahead of this one. So we're just going to wait for the TP to come in, and it's actually quite smart because it zones him to walk backwards, but it's a Tristana, so she jumps back herself, buys all of the time in the world, great cast as well to make sure that ZWuJi walks forward into the team, everybody's trapped.
Yeah, good stopwatch as well, good utilization of those early power items as well. You get them in your inventory from your runes, and you can see them using it very, very nicely, and oh, HuaTian!
Yep.
Not HuaTian, excuse me, it was WeiYan.
That happened. It's a Sylas being caught out, it's a Braum CC, and the Kog'Maw's even got damage at 19 minutes to back it up. There's not a lot to say when the Kog'Maw's allowed a free farm. He's 4 kills for 2, Play the Rune King and Ginzu's already built.
Oh, Holder gets knocked back. Perfect explosive cast, gonna force out the flash. Body slam, as simple as you like. Vici are they're just dismantling Rogue Warriors right now. Rogue Warriors don't know what to do.
And realistically, that's the best target to always have in your sides. GP is going to be the strongest champion late game, so if you make sure that he never makes it there, there's pretty much no response from Rogue Warriors. They know this. They're playing the turret game. I like it. You know why? Because it's after 15 minutes and Vici's still online.
And you have got this kind of like pseudo 1-3-1 setup where, you know, the jungler is just constantly roaming between the mid and bot side. Chelizi pushes in the bot lane, nearly get that turret down. They've almost got the tier 2 turret down on the top side as well, which is being pushed in by Jay. Rogue Warriors are being pulled apart by every single member of this Vici lineup. And I've got to admit, like, you know, maybe apart from the Kog'Maw, you could probably trade that for a couple of other different picks and it still works fine. But overall, this composition works.
And it's working towards Vici's favor because there's a hard shove down onto the bottom side. It's post 20 minutes. Of course, they can simply rotate whenever they want towards the Baron. And because they're so far ahead, 13 kills to 3, Vici have the natural advantage.
And 4,000 gold ahead, equal on Dragons. As we see now, Vici looking to potentially try and dive this turret into the mid lane. Are going to have vision of them clearing that ward and just going to back themselves away. Smartly done by them. They haven't got full vision control of everyone on the side of Rogue Warriors.
And it's just so hard for Rogue Warriors to respond to this as well, BP, because if you take a look, while Holder does have his ultimate, very few items under his belt, only a Trinity Force fully completed, means that his ultimate isn't even going to be saving people from a dive.
Now the big question comes, because the biggest criticism we've had of Vici this entire split is you had a great early game. Now transition it into a winnable situation where you're able to take the game. That is the question that is on this team right now. Can they do it?
I'm just going to make a quick comment. This is better than a good early game. This is a great early game from Vici Gaming, but even more than that, taking a look at the map, they've already got the beginnings of it started. They've got a control ward inside of the Baron pit. They can just clear out the opposing one from Rogue Warriors, and they should be good to go. And apart from that, we just need to see in the next 5 minutes if they naturally play the Baron dance, if they want to put a threat around it, because they're not going to be pulling the trigger until Chelizi gets his TP. But Jay's caught out, potentially.
Jay trying to steal that blue buff, hasn't got perfect vision, so he's going to back away. The side of Rogue Warriors not afraid, because this is the thing. In a 5v5 team fight, Rogue Warriors have the advantage despite being so far behind.
Yeah, even though they are behind, they've still got the Varus ultimate, which of course is a Hail Mary inside of a Baron pit. It can just lock up everybody, and when a Kog'Maw is locked up, even if he's ahead, he's just a sitting duck for a Sylas to 100-0 him with a Conqueror. So of course that is their playstyle. Burst down puff, then make sure that you can damage Chelizi as much as you can is going to be the MO for all the damage dealers on Rogue Warriors.
Jay, you need to be very, very careful. Looked like he wanted to try and maybe challenge HuaTian, who is 0-4-0 on this Akali. Has not had a great game at all. But you can see two very different ideologies coming in from these two different comps. You've got full split push, as I say that. Might see a little bit of engage. They're going to invest the Glacial Fissure as well as Holder coming in. So it's a 5v4 for the moment. Chelizi trying to come in on top of this. Flashes are being burnt. HuaTian goes in with a perfect execution and then goes gold, and they will pick up the Gragas. And that is a big shutdown. But two quick kills for the side of Vici. And here comes Chelizi. He's going to jump straight in on top of this team, and he's going to be able to rain Hellfire onto him. Triple kill for Jay. It's going to be the quadra kill for Vici, and that's going to be the Baron.
So much room bought by Chelizi coming in on the backside.
He wants the penta.
Yeah.
He wants the penta.
He's looking for it.
He hasn't got flash. He's just going to try and get him. He's not quite got it. Yes, it is! Penta kill for Jay!
So well played on this Qiyana, kiting backwards, making sure that your other damage dealers are actually being the front line, and this assassin has well and truly popped off. From the get-go, getting the solo kill, you knew that he was destined for success, but at penta kill, man, props to him.
7-0-3, and you can see why a lot of teams are starting to ban this Qiyana exclusively against Jay.
Yeah, you kind of know that when an assassin is being mained on any player, that you need to ban him away, because if you don't know the numbers perfectly, like we saw in the 1v1 against HuaTian, he can just run away with the entire game.
I want to see the replay because it was, it was Rogue Warriors who initiated it, but some great disengage from Vici Gaming meant they were able to just elongate the fight for so long, and then once Chelizi comes to separate everybody out, it just became so easy for them.
It was a desperation play because, of course, they're so far behind, and the Tristana is not with the rest of the team. You can see that ZWuJi is looking for the ultimate, unfortunately got the support as well. They want to fight 5v4, didn't anticipate Trist would come up. Keep your eyes on Jay though, because he is the primary damage dealer. Huck is just going to be left alone to the wolves. HuaTian goes way too far ahead, and everybody else is enabling this, assassin to do damage. Even Chelizi in the front line, to make sure that he's not being focused on, allows him to run rampage in his back line.
You can see straight away Jay was hunting for this. Pops the Youmu's and
yeah.
You're never going to defend that, buddy. There's no need for you to be there. And Jay's just like, you know what? If I'm going to get something this split, I'm going to get a penta kill.
Yeah, but you still got to say it. Rogue Warriors, it was the best play that they could have given the situation because they knew it was going to be a 5v4. They just didn't execute it fast enough. They dove a little bit too far. And in the end, Chelizi joined, which allowed Jay to actually put down his DPS.
Whoa, Jay. I think he thought it would take a lot shorter for his ultimate to travel around that wall, but not the fastest moving of ultimates, but does have that cooldown down. But you can see the side of Vici Gaming now starting to set their vision control around this Baron. They're not going to start it up just yet, though. But
this is a really good position because Chelizi has teleport, so watch out for that. He could be pushing the bottom lane, putting priority on the Holder.
Doesn't matter, because Holder gets caught out, and not Holder, excuse me. It's going to be the Tahm Kench getting caught out on that particular play and deleted. Now Rogue Warriors without their Tahm Kench have to be even more afraid of moving up onto this. They have no idea. This is a pure bait. And now no jungler. Vici going to be feeling very secure about taking the Baron now.
And Vici looks so good with these clean calls as well to make sure that you burst down the front line. Unfortunately, Huanggai has to act like it because they don't actually have a tank at the current moment. And more to the point, Rogue Warriors, they just get systematically pulled apart. One person walks too far ahead, it's a 4v5. Instead of starting the Baron, they just get baited in by all the control wards and they just fall apart.
This is a clinical display coming in from Vici Gaming. They've got themselves the Baron. They are 20 kills up, 8,000 gold. There's not much else you can really say. They've got 3 items on pretty much all of their carries. They are in total control. However, we have seen them in total control before. It is not impossible for side of Rogue Warriors to get back into this game. They, of course, still have scaling. They have good engage as well. The team fights are still there, but when you're separated, when you are separated and nowhere to go, you are just going to get deleted most of the time. There's the explosive cast, as he just gets him in, but the fight still ensues. It's a 5v4 in favor of Vici, and they're going to try and go for this. Actually, TP coming in, it was a 4v4, and that's actually the Qiyana down. Full shutdown goal going on to the Sylas. Vici bite off a little bit more than they could chew, and they committed the teleport a little bit too late.
Walking too far forward and didn't even have his flash available to get out. Jay gets caught in all of the action, but more importantly, Puff was being focused down, but then they reiterated back towards the person who got the pentakill. The shutdown gold is massive, especially onto WeiYan. Now this Conqueror Sylas can actually start building some damage.
And this is what I just said. We have seen Vici throw these leads before, and you do not have a team fighting composition. Even when you're this far ahead, the team fight from Rogue Warriors is just better.
Yeah, it wasn't great. I'm going to say that right now, but it's not the worst case scenario. Jay goes way too far forward. TK with a nice save to make sure that ZWuJi lives, but now you got to keep your eyes on how far forward he goes. Actually tanks up some turret hits as well, and there's just such good dives combined between the damage down on the Puff to zone out to Kog'Maw, and also everybody else smacking him down on the side. Yeah, eventually he was going to fall.
That was a little bit greedy there from WuJi. He wanted to get the redemption so he could come stay back into this fight, but because of that, he actually stayed within the blast radius of the explosive barrel. So, bit of a mistake from him there. Ended up trading a 1-for-1, but when you're this far ahead, a 1-for-1 and a loss on Baron push is not what you want from the 1-3-1 comp. Not
the worst case scenario though, because of course if it's going to be a 1-4, you can still execute that with Baron on both.
Oh HuaTian.
That's the story of HuaTian this game.
Honestly, 0-6, it's just been his entire game, and that's just a very unfortunate pick on the side of Rogue Warriors, and now they don't really have much kind of kill pressure coming into these, defenses. They will not lose an inhibitor, but they may lose pretty much everything else.
Yeah, that's what happens when it's an assassin versus assassin matchup in the mid lane. The first few minutes of the laning phase is always going to be hype, but after the first kill goes through, unless there's severe interference, you know how it's going to end.
I will say the pentakill for Jay definitely helps out.
Yeah, I guess
he does end up on 3 items pretty damn quickly. 3 expensive items,
And they're all lethality.
They're like Rolexes.
That's an Edge of Night? When's the last time you've seen that item?
Only last week.
Last week?
Yeah, we saw Pantheon play it. Doobie.
Yeah, you need it on the Pantheon because you want a W without it getting pushed back. But still, man, that is a luxury item, and he has got it in his wallet.
It's great to have it so early. And Puff, we talked about the Kog'Maw a little bit at length, but he hasn't really been the, the focus for this one. And this is just poor backing. You can see straight away, boom, clap, and then don't even need anything else. Just use the ultimate inside the Shroud, and then he's dead anyway. There's nowhere for him to go.
Okay, so I'm going to say it. While we did see a very good early game from Vici Gaming, the push with the Baron buff is not as strong as we anticipated because they didn't quite get the inhibitor down. The fights weren't going their way, honestly, because Jay died in a 1v1 trade as well. That shouldn't realistically happen. The 1-4 didn't look that great, but Vici Gaming still with the lead. They have a lot of time to redeem themselves.
Have time, but Vici do not want to give up that time to Rogue Warriors. The longer this game goes on, the more items get completed. Now you've got 3 items on top of the Varus. Now you've got 2.5. I think actually Holder's going back to finish off his 3rd item onto the Gangplank. You've got the Zhonyas now for WeiYan. Like, it's just, you've got so many things. Yeah, there's the Sterex and the Essence Reaver as well. So you've got so many little things that are kind of like creeping the side of Rogue Warriors back into this, and we cannot, overestimate or underestimate the pure team fighting power that comes out from Rogue Warriors squad.
Yeah, and I was saying that Rogue Warriors looked like they were in a really bad position because the Baron got taken by Vici Gaming, but now it's going to be up in 1 minute 30. This actually does favor them because ZWuJi now doing a bit of damage by himself as well. With the ultimate is one of the strongest ultimates in a Baron pit, and that is their avenues to success. So if he can be kept alive by Huanggai, and if he can get his ulti down to support multiple members onto Vici Gaming, you can anticipate that Jay and Puff will be the primary targets to get bursted down.
need to leave your base to do that, though.
Obviously.
You know, no vision in the entirety of their base outside of...
One step at a time.
One baby steps, you know, get some baby steps going, and they need to try and clear this up. But Vici, they could just do the exact same they did last time, and I think it's on to Rogue Warriors to call that bluff correctly, because they need to not just walk in face first, because they will just be deleted.
Well, that wasn't a bluff. Because they walked in, and Vici Gaming weren't even on the Baron. They were just waiting for them, collapsed 5 people onto 1, and they just got bursted down. That was WeiYan getting bursted down. So, yeah, not a bluff. That was actually just a camp.
But they're bluffing that they're doing the Baron.
Yeah.
That's why it's a calling of the bluff. You know, you got to call their bluff and go, you know what, you're not doing it. I'm going to just sit here and know that I don't have to face check this because the Baron is not going down. It takes a lot of... you know, discipline, and also a lot of confidence to kind of go, you know what, they're not going to do it. But like right now, they can see this ward is actually being fantastically set up here for the side of Rogue Warriors, because it is just constantly pointing out that they are just around there. Puff isn't going to be by himself.
And also, Chelizi has no teleport. This is a 5v4 so far if Rogue Warriors want to pull the trigger. Still working out towards their favor until the Tristana joins.
Which is now. So Tristana coming in. They may look to try and go for a full flank here with Jay, who has popped the edge of Night, but Rogue Warriors going to back away. Good stolen ultimate here for the side of Rogue Warriors as well. That Sylas may be able to catch somebody out. And all of a sudden, the gold lead doesn't mean so much anymore. 9,000 gold lead, but they have got the double Mountain Drakes, which means that they will burn down through this Baron so quickly with the Tristana and the Kog'Maw.
And the Ocean also works well because of the Varus poke. So even though he lands his Q on the Pup, should be healed. Okay.
Oh, not going to catch anybody there. No Summoner's Burns. That's just a big disengaging ultimate down the side of Vici. This is where you kind of get a little bit scared if you're a Vici fan, because all of a sudden this fantastic early game, that fantastic mid game might not mean anything if you throw it away all here.
Yeah, it's walking away backwards. They haven't got vision dominance because of the control words. WeiYan.
Whoa! Great Unbreakable there from the Braum, and there's the fight ensuing. WeiYan has to go golden to try and keep himself alive. The Cannon Barrage comes in. There's the redemption to heal everybody back up as we see a full engaged fight coming in. HuaTian does eventually get himself out. Nobody dies. A lot of ultimates burned, a couple of flashes as well. But in the end, it's going to be Vici with the pretty much inside track to this Baron. They will lose mid lane turret, but they do not care because they're going to burn this objective down so quickly.
Man, that was so deep by HuaTian, and he actually escapes with his life. But yeah, one turret for that Baron, you have to say Vici are looking so strong. And now that they don't have to worry about fighting in confined corridors, they can just bust it down mid. Don't even need to 1-4. In all honesty, it should be their game if they can execute it. It was the same question as last time, but they got a fresh buff this time.
Southwind, the unspoken MVP of the side of Vici, the pure stopping of any kind of engage. And you can see WeiYan, it was just kind of like, ah, damn it, I can't move forward with this, unfortunately. And it would have been a fantastic ultimate. It could literally have changed the entire focus of the game if it had landed. So great Unbreakable, great timing from Southwind. And then we see why the Braum was taken.
Yeah, good call, good call. Even though I have a suspicion who's going to get MVP in this game, you have to say that Southwind has been so good on this Braum. 2 times now we've seen his shield actually block out the Varus ultimate. If he wasn't there, Puff would have been caught out, and that would be a dead Kog'Maw both times.
I'm gonna go ahead and ruin your I agree with you. I agree with you, but someone got a penta in this game.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. So we know who's gonna get it.
If Vici wins, we know who got it. We know who got the man of the match at the MVP.
It's unfortunate because of course Jay did very well, but he's set up by the rest of his team.
Yeah,
Southwind playing very well.
It wasn't a 1v9, it was a 5v5, and he just happened to be picking up those kills.
Even though you score a goal, you didn't do it by yourself.
Yeah, well, never know. Sometimes you can be a bit of a messy about it and get it in. But the Baron taken, triple Mountain Drake as well, so if you're given 3 or 4 seconds on these turrets from the side of Vici Gaming, you will melt through them, just like you did the Baron, as we see there. Chelizi picking himself up a red buff. He's got himself 4 items. They've got 5 items, full item Kog'Maw as well.
That's it.
They've got all the tools available to them. They've got about just under 2 minutes left on this Baron push, but can Rogue Warriors find the fight?
This also changes the playstyle of Vici Gaming because now Braum doesn't have to sit on top of Kog'Maw. Kog'Maw has a GA. He can go forward with Jay and Chelizi.
Yeah, here we go. They're just going to try and get everybody off of this turret to stop the wave clear. So far has been successful getting that redemption out, and the tower does go down. Stolen ultimate has been used, but there's the engage straight away. Tahm Kench has to use the Devour straight off of this as the Cannon Barrage comes out onto the backside. Now you're a little bit scared if you're on the side of Rogue Warriors. You've used all of your initiation tools, you've used all of your team fighting abilities, and you don't come out with a kill. Southwind tanks up everything and keeps himself alive.
Honestly, just play it safe. Make sure that you're playing the objective game, and if you don't have to fight, don't take it. Rogue Warriors, they are bleeding.
The Warriors are a wounded animal, but side of Vici are not stopping. Puff is fearless as he pushes himself forward, just trying to get the damage down. They may look for a little bit of engage. It's do or die now, Rogue Warriors. You have to make a decision.
Looks like they're opting not to actually defend. If you don't defend with the turret, there's no way you're defending without it. The whole point is that Puff can now play freely because of that GA, and because he's playing freely, it means that it just opens up Southwind to defend the other key members. Jay isn't taking any damage in this, Chelizi isn't taking any damage, and the fact that they can both jump forward as very squishy damage dealers is really punishing for Rogue Warriors because they have to step back.
And you can see for Rogue Warriors, they want to try and get something. They want to try and start an initiation. They have got 3 items on pretty much everybody, 4 onto the Varus, so they're not that far behind. As you just mentioned, you know, Puff has got those 2 very defensive items in the Mercurial Scimitar and the GA, so not exactly efficient damage build, but he doesn't need it because Jay is just so big.
And also the fact that you've got another AD as well, of course, just build whatever you want for safety. I mean, Chelizi being a backup carry, he's a hyper carry, don't forget, a Tristana as well. So this is just really dangerous. Rogue Warriors know that if they trade 1 for 1, it benefits Vici Gaming because the Tristana can reset her double.
Wait to see now. This has to be the final fight coming in here from the side of Rogue Warriors. If you weren't going to defend your other 2 inhibitors, you have to defend this one. Otherwise, you're just not going to be able to do anything from this. Stolen Glacial Fissure by the Sylas is now side of Vici just going to try split this one up. They leave Jay and Gragas onto those Nexus turrets. As I say that now, we're going to see HuaTian jumping in. Tahm Kench forced to eat her up though and keep her alive in this fight. The perfect execution will not be perfect, and that means that HuaTian taking a lot of damage, and that's almost certainly going to mean that the fight is won straight away by Vici. They have no worries. They have no anything to really think about. They take themselves the 3rd and final inhibitor. All structures are down. The only thing that stands between Vici and a win is the Nexus.
Can't stand on the turrets because Tristana's E. Can't stand behind them because of Kog'Maw's ultimate. This is just such good poke.
Great poke, great disengage, and just great discipline from Vici, but they still have one last step. It's take down these turrets. Now the double super minions, you can see them on the minimap coming in. Chelizi gets 2 seconds on these turrets and they will be melted. And as I say about melted, the Tahm Kench has no chance of being able to stay into these fights. Sylas will fall as well. Vici Gaming will take a perfectly great game, pentakill, all the structures, and they will take game 1.
What an excellently played game by Vici. We had questions about whether they could execute later on. Looks so good. They pulled the trigger around the Baron to bluff the Baron as well, to catch people walking in, and they cleaned that game out so well.
Rogue Warriors 100% dismantled. You know, there was no real positives from that. They had a winning lane matchup pretty much everywhere, apart from the mid lane, which we did say was very much a 50-50 almost, whoever gets kills early. And they just didn't really do anything. They tried to camp for Holder, and you can just see as soon as the Tristana was given a little bit of time and space, that gold lead just starts to escalate and escalate and escalate, and it was just impossible from that point on.
And that's a real difference. Take a look. The only real big damage dealer is, of course, Holder for Rogue Warriors. He couldn't get effectively into those fights. His barrels were being taken out because, of course, there's a Tristana and also Kog'Maw. One of them's bound to hit it before you. And that was just not GP having a good time in that last fight. Combined between that and the fact that ZWuJi couldn't actually get any of the objective fights around the Dragons and the Barons, his ultimate was subpar because it just pretty much hit Southwind and nobody else every single time.
Of course, Vici, though, great to see from them. They got themselves their early game, which we are very used to at this stage, but eventually they turned it into a win. And that's what we wanted to see from them. Improvement.
Yeah. Where were you? Where were you all split? That looks so good. You know,
they just needed the Kog'Maw.
At some point, you got to ask the question, you got to have some strategy, okay? If it's a bad strategy, you could throw it out for next game and then revitalize, but some strategy is better than none. We saw it inside of this one. Fight around the Baron. Make sure that you also trap your enemies when they walk towards the Baron as well. Look beautiful to see.
For Rogue Warriors, what needs to change? Is it a pick ban thing? Is it just a not understanding the kind of roles thing? What, in your mind, what needs to change from Rogue Warriors for them to even come back into this series?
A bit of column A, a bit of column B. So first and foremost, once again, they fell into a trap of building towards late game. You got the Varus in the bottom lane, which obviously could have actually executed at level 6, but they only did one gank down there, so you could have executed that better. But a Gangplank onto the top side, man, that was a late scaler, and there was not a lot of avenue for it. I mean, Sylas could have ganked very early on, but the Conqueror indicated that he wanted to scale much later, and there honestly was no bridge after mid lane fell.
So what changes? That's the question. What do they do?
Ooh.
Do they change the champions? Change the style? Do they go for something crazy?
So one thing that sticks out
do they
is
get this playbook and just throw it out?
throw it away. Throw
Yeah,
it
no,
away.
I didn't,
I'm
want
not
to,
gonna
I didn't
throw it away.
actually
No.
want to throw away your notes.
No, I'm going to keep it right here because, of course, one thing that sticks out is ZWuJi. Okay, so ZWuJi is somebody who can gank very early on, and compared to the Sylas, who does much better work later on, I quite like it. I want to see it influence the lanes. If you're going to be going for something like a Gangplank, then that is the best solution to make sure that Gangplank can have a good time. Because naturally, in a 1v1 situation, he was winning against that Tristana. You just need that little extra push to make sure that he's not counter-ganked.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see. But, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to go to a quick break. When we return, we will have Game 2 of this best-of-3 series. Don't go anywhere.
一双刃成功拉到了 imp， 交一个闪现突进去，然后转头将残血的绿毛给收掉了。这时候再往前是卡恩的一个闪现，成功的把 imp 的人头给收下。不过缓回来，上中野京东三人组冲了进来，死哥唱起一个大招给远程支援，但是问题是正面的线完全刚不住。
哎，这边一场单杀，打过去一个 QA 回身一损5道，那我感觉死了。
哇，这个位置有一个小影魔刀，但是也救不了自己。
一个主女开大开了剑魔吗？这个是开到了 ADC 直接被秒掉了。
打得非常的不错啊！这一波开到 ADC 正面，哇，在卡莉斯塔甩出一个熊，再顶一下。OMG 全员被控的情况下，几乎是没有反抗的余地了。死磕上起大招，看起来是可以收回2个人头。
酒桶是刚回家，还没回过家，可以赶追回一点时间。这波酒桶应该出来，可能大概率要往上走，看到自己的野怪被刷掉了。
对，不过与此同时的话，这是有越塔的打算嘛，
而且
控的确实不错。
满路的鳄鱼，只要看一下谁先手，鳄鱼在扛塔，一个大红路 W 晕住，但是有点难杀。
鳄鱼先被击杀掉了，而且还让剑魔上到了6级。摩根这时候开招了以后，他的吸血量非常的夸张，他又躲过了这个甩锤，完了。
火龙的争夺一触即发，阿乐这边损5道，回身的魔点中当巨魔先吸入大家想先杀巨魔，这不是一个明智的选择。电棍的一个大招直接顶起了自己的奥拉夫，奥拉夫开出一个秒表之后，自己直接被阿卡丽给收掉。起火巨魔确实比较难过呀，而且嘎啦这边直接 R 上去想要打收割卢安达飓风，配合自己的平 A 直接打出了满额的伤害。伊泽瑞尔慌不择路，一到大熊脸上，大熊一个惊魂咆哮把伊泽瑞尔收掉。